Jews integrated or felt integrated so much that they stopped thinking of their needs, of their priorities as, from the perspective of being Jews in Iran. They started to think of themselves, maybe first and foremost, as Iranians who are of Jewish faith. So in the 50s, there was overrepresentation again of Jews in the Communist Party, but it was because this was the only party that accepted non-Muslims as members and openly and aggressively fought against anti-Semitism and discrimination. So this was one way to be involved. And later in the 50s and 60s, when also they were on this path, on this trajectory for upward mobility and better integration in the society, anti-Semitism didn't feel as the same kind of problem that it felt in the 40s and 50s. And it allowed them to act as Iranians, to see the grievances of the regular Iranians, right? Rather than their own community that benefited from the Shah's policies. But also it opened their eyes to see the dictatorship and the corruption of the Shah and his family. And it's not something that was across the board with the Jewish community. Many of them remained loyal to the Shah, stayed out of politics, but this was not the rule. I mean, this was not, universal behavior of Jews in Iran. Many of them went to the university, they joined student organizations, student clubs, some of them were underground student organizations, and they were more, they felt for people that became very prominent later in the 70s. In the early 70s, actually went to prison for their political activism as part of the opposition. And in prison, they started to transform, to think about their activism and how to recruit the community for that. And it worked in some ways, it didn't work in other ways. But we see that, they were able to create alliances with other groups that participated in the revolution, and also to make the case that the Shah was a dictator. It's sort of an obligation to join our non-Jewish brothers and sisters in their struggle against this dictatorship. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell how convincing the case was, but, in 1978, this group won the elections for the leadership of the community. So we can argue that at the very least, it touched slightly more than half of the members of the Jewish community. So this was the story, again, very briefly, the story of the participation of Jews in the revolution and what led them to it.